afternoon. Captain Justin DeLeon here. Today what we're going to talk about is warning orders, or WARNOs. Alright. Now I talked about this a little bit in my TLPs video. You can check that out as well. It kind of goes through this process. But the point is that in the Army we have three types of orders. Alright. We have a warning order, or a WARNO. We have an operations order, or an op order, or we have a fragmentary order, or a frago. Okay. Alright. So when doing a WARNO, alright, the point is this is your initial order, okay? And what it is it's a basic representation of what the operation is going to look like, okay? And then your operation order, or your op order, that's going to be your complete and total plan, and your fragos are going to be little changes to the plan here and there that you're going to put out, okay? But a warning order is incredibly important because it helps with those TLPs and it helps your troops get prepared, initiate movement, gives them the timelines when they know when everything's due, when they have to be doing certain tasks and skills. So this is a very important part, okay? And a lot of people fail at this. A lot of people either sometimes put out too much information, don't put out enough information, and the biggest thing is that they don't put it out soon enough. So they're not giving their troops an appropriate amount of time to prepare, okay? The reference that I'm going to be using for this today is the Ranger Handbook 2017 TC3-21.76. Okay, what I will say is that my WARNO that I go over here will differ just slightly from the Ranger Handbook. Obviously, the Ranger Handbook is the doctrine and it's a good way to go off of. I do think there's a little bit more material in there than is realistic sometimes at the platoon level in the field. So I've shortened it down just a little bit, okay? But that is what I've used for the basis of this, okay? So when doing a WARNO, what you want to do is you want to give a basic, summary of each paragraph, so everyone has a pretty good idea of what your operation is going to look like, okay? So we go to paragraph 1, which is the situation, okay? We're going to give just some basic things. So the first thing that we're going to do is, and these are things that we can do very quickly and easily, okay? After receiving your order, all right, when you're doing the WARNO, which is the step 2 of the TLPs, I typically say you want to do that within 10 to 15 minutes, okay? A lot of people will say sooner. A lot of people will be like, hey, literally 3 minutes after you receive the mission, you should be issuing out your WARNO, because you're trying to get the maximum amount of time, obviously. But the problem is if you only take 3 minutes to prepare your WARNO, it might not be sufficient, okay? I know that this might be taking a little bit of time away from your troops, okay? You definitely don't want to go more than 15. 15 should be the max. But the point is you want to be deliberate, okay? You want to think through it, you want to write them stuff down, and really get at some basic parts to your order, okay? And remember, what you brief in this WARNO, you don't have to re-brief it in your op order. So it might be saving time in the future for that as well, okay? But 10 to 15 minutes is usually my sweet spot that I use when I'm about to do this, okay? So again, the first situation, all right? We gotta do the AO and AI, all right? And this was pretty easy because it was given to us, all right? So we're just showing on a map, and we might not have our terrain model set up yet, but we're showing on our map, hey, this is where we're operating, these 3 grid squares, and this is our AI, this is the area, this is the town, or this is the artillery that could affect our AO, okay? So I'm gonna talk about those 2 things. Second, I'm definitely gonna talk about enemy forces, okay? Definitely gotta give a good description of this. I might not give a full enemy dangerous course of action, likely course of action, or COAs, but I'm going to probably talk about what does the enemy have, what are their capabilities, what weapon systems are they using, what are they trying to do, okay, what overall, and then I'll probably dive deeper into this in my actual op order and give different courses of action that the enemy can do, but I want to give a good synopsis. So again, I'm going to talk about number, I'm going to talk about weapons, I might talk about morale, and I want to talk about generally what they're doing. Generally, hey, they're doing resupply operations, or generally they're doing offensive operations in our zone, or we believe that they're defending a location in our zone that we're going to attack and to seize. Whatever it is. Okay, you give a good general description of the enemy so that everyone kind of has a good shared understanding of what we're going to go up against. Okay. Then we're going to talk about friendly forces. All right, this is real easy. I literally just I can just have my map out again and be like, hey, second platoon's over here to the east, they're going to be doing an ambush. First platoon's to the north, they're actually conducting a blocking position or basically a defensive position on this road. And then, fourth platoon is about 3 clicks south of us, and they're in reserve to assist me either way with something like that, okay? But I can show it real quick on the map, and I can give a good description. It doesn't have to be written out perfectly, but I can show them real fast where everyone's at and what they're doing. Okay, and then I'll mention attachments and detachments as well. Okay, again, these are people that are either, if if they're attached to you, they're gained. So let's say you got some engineers that are going to help you out potentially with some obstacles. There's your detachments. If detachments, let's say you lost your third squad, and third squad's going to support another platoon, to support the D sites of operation if you're a shaping. All right, hey, we detached third squad. You'll be able to say this real quick, or it might just be none. But the point is you can say this real quick, and now it's done, and you don't even have to mention it in the op order. Okay, so again, quick synopsis of the situation paragraph. That's what you need. Get the bread and butter and go. Okay? All right, for paragraph two is easy, right? We're going to literally absolutely say our complete mission statement. All right, and we're going to say it twice. And this is not something that we'll say once, during the warning order and not say again in the operations order. We're definitely going to brief this every time. All right, and again, the mission statement is that who, what, where, when, and why. And again, why is the key. What is our purpose? What are we trying to accomplish? All right. Got to make sure that mission statement is in there. That is the most vital part of the WARNO because it's going to tell everyone, hey, we're doing an attack. All right, hey, where are we doing it? We're doing it at this location, which is 4 clicks away, so everyone can kind of get prepared for that. All right. When are we doing it? Hey, we're doing it in 5 hours. Okay, that might be kind of a quick timeline. We got to start thinking about that. And why are we doing it? Hey, how do we fit into the big picture? How are we going to meet the commander's intent? So that's going to get everyone's mind focused on what's about to happen. Okay, so make sure you get this mission statement right and do it well. That is what I would spend the most time on. And usually, if you're doing a platoon order, you're going to derive this mission statement from your company order, that high level order that you received from your task supporting units, where it talks about what your platoon is doing. Okay, let's talk about paragraph 3. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in paragraph 3, right, in execution. So you don't want to talk about everything. You want to talk about some specific things. Okay, so the key things that you want to focus on is you want to talk your concept of the operation. Okay, and notice I am not saying the scheme of movement and maneuver. Okay, the scheme of movement and maneuver is too long, too detailed. You will not have time to get that prepared. Okay, that is going to be detailed in your operations order, in your op order. This concept of the operation, this is that summary. Okay, this is the summary of what your mission looks like. And a lot of times, this is where you just talk about your phases. Hey, the operation will begin no later than 1300 when we SP. All right. Phase 1 is from SP at 1300 until we occupy the ORP. Phase 2 is from ORP to completion of the leader's recon. Phase 3, and we're doing that event-based planning, okay? But basically, list out all your phases and where everyone can see what the operation generally looks like. And it's that summary that then leads you into the scheme of movement and maneuver where you can go into detail once you get in the op order, okay? But this will give everyone a good concept of like, hey, how is the operation going to generally flow, okay? After concept operation, key thing you got to have is now your tasks to subordinates. You got to have this. All right, this is a key. Okay, this is where you're going to allow your people to start that necessary movement, start that initial movement. Okay, they're going to get their tasks where you're going to say, hey, first squad, this is what I want you doing. I think in the TLP class you can see, hey, security squad, you are terrain model, you are routes, you're doing this. Second squad, which is assault 1, hey, you're doing EPW and aid litter rehearsals, and then I also want you getting these weapons prepped for this reason, whatever it is, okay? But you're going to give each squad tasks to help get them prepared for the mission, okay? And this is where you got to list it out. So in this 10 to 15 minutes, and this is where I talk about, it takes a little bit of time to think through, okay, I'm about to do an attack, okay? We have this much time that we have to accomplish it. What task do I need to put out now so when I'm writing my order, these squads can be working for me? One, either to help the planning portion of the op order or to actually get prepared for the execution, okay? You gotta lay these out. Again, you're gonna give a task to security, A1, A2, and you're gonna give tasks to weapons, all right? And that task and purpose of why they're doing it, okay? Talking about after task subordinate units, you're gonna talk about some coordinated instructions, okay? Really what it boils down to in coordinated instructions, the biggest thing, you could list a lot of stuff. You could list the uniform and reports, all right? That will help. I'll put it down, uniform. If you're doing anything different, reports, but the biggest thing you've got to have, okay, you've got to have in here is your timeline. All right, and this is the timeline from the warning order through the execution of the mission. So you're including the planning time prior to SP, and then you're also talking about what is the timeline going to generally look like after we SP throughout our operation. Okay. Now remember, when we actually get onto our operation, we do have a hit time. Okay, and that hit time is when we need to have our attack conducted, or if you're doing an ambush, when it needs to be established, whatever it is. But the point is as we're planning, these hit times are tentative. Okay, we're trying to hit this because we think that that's what's going to work. All right, but again, in the Army, we like to do what's called event-based planning. All right, so again, phase 2 might end when the leader's recon is complete, not at 1400 when the leader's recon might be halfway done because we're taking a little bit extra time there. So you got to think through that. Okay, but again, just to highlight that this timeline means something, but there are portions of it that are tentative and can adjust. All right, again. There's lots of stuff including that timeline. I mean, I'm talking, so I'm not gonna write it all down, but we're talking rehearsals, the time of the op order, the time that you want the squads to now give their op orders, all right, the time of calling up to hire for green twos, all right, the last radio check, then SP, then after we SP, when we're gonna hit our first in-route rally point, when we're gonna hit our second in-route rally point, when we're gonna hit the ORP, all right, talking through the whole operation so everyone can generally have a timeline of what it's going to look like. Okay, and that's basically what we really need to have from that execution paragraph. Okay, now we'll talk about the next two. All right, sustainment. Oops. Obviously, paragraph 4, which is sustainment. Okay, so in sustainment, all right, a couple key things we need to have. We need to talk about our maintenance issues. So, hey, big thing is if we have any machine guns down or we have any other equipment that needs maintenance, what's going on, okay? Transportation. Hey, man, how are we getting out to the field? All right, what should we be preparing for? Should we be preparing to walk 5K out to the field? Should we be preparing to load LMTVs? And so does that mean we need to account for a vehicle drop-off point or a VDO? Does that mean we need to start making manifests to get on vehicles? What does that look like? Hey, are we moving in helicopters? Are we doing air movement? Then we definitely got to work a manifest and start working those rosters, okay, those chalks. So a lot can go into this, all right? Again, it might be simple. If you're just walking out, hey, easy. But if you're not just walking out, there needs to be some planning going on here, and it's likely the platoon sergeant that is going to start planning, okay? And that's probably a task that you gave him. And then we need to talk about supply. All right, so hey, what does our supply look like? We can go by class, all the way from class 1, all the way down. But basically talk about your supply needs, any current issues, and this is a time during the warning room where people can bring up issues as well. So talk about all those supply classes, what's your current status, where you sit, are you gonna get any resupply? You can talk about this now, and you don't have to mention it in that op order. And then last is your Army Health System stuff. Army Health, oops, I can't spell. Army Health System, plan. And really what this means is, okay, what is it going to look like right now? Hey, where are our current AXPs located? Where are our current casualty collection points located? If you had time, hey, maybe these are the 2 HLZs that I've identified near the objective that work well, okay? You might need some more planning to go into this. This is one, in my opinion, that you might save for the actual operations order, because it does take some, in my opinion, it takes some considerable amount of planning to actually plan this out thoroughly, okay? So you might say a few things here, but definitely need to reiterate this during the op order and go into serious detail about that plan, how you're gonna get casualties off the battlefield when they're within that golden hour, all right? Okay, last is going to be your paragraph 5, right? Command and signal. Okay, and for this one, you can likely probably just brief this normally. So, hey, for command, and you're talking succession of command. All right, you're talking command and control. You're talking where, talking where the CPs are, location of leadership. Okay, all that. You're talking those key things. Okay, and then these are things that you might not have to talk about later. And then you can talk signal. And then when you signal, you can talk about, hey, maybe you have SOPs already in place of how you're going to do your pace plan in regards to movement. What's your pace plan look like now when you're on the objective? What does your pace plan look like when you're doing, actual fire control on the objective, like, doing shift fires and lift fires and all that stuff, okay? If it's according to SOP, you can just say, hey, according to SOP. But if you need to list it out, you need to list it out. And you got freaks, frequencies, you got call signs, okay, all that stuff. All right, all your different signals and everything. Okay. Now, if you brief this, you can almost brief this paragraph completely during your warning order, and then you can hold off on it on your op order and save time. Okay. But again, you could get this done pretty quickly. All right. Now that looks like a lot of stuff that I just mentioned. All right, and it takes practice. It takes practice when you're receiving your op order, when you're in that first step of the TLPs, when you're receiving your op order, to get really good at, hey, writing down information within an op order shell, or writing down information in a manner in which you're kind of writing your WARNO as it's happening. Okay, and remember, when you're doing this in the field, you do not have to be writing down every word. Okay, you just need to hit these main steps and be able to brief it. Like I said, when you're talking friendly forces, hey, you might not be able to have time to actually write a paragraph of what the friendly forces are doing, but you can point on your map, hey, everyone, look real fast. Hey, first platoon's over here, third platoon's over here, and this is what they're doing. Okay, use a combination of your tools and resources to give out a good warning order, and it's going to be successful. Okay. Again, warning order, very key. It's got to happen quickly. In my opinion, 10 to 15 minutes after. There is no actual standard on time, but again, you don't want to get it out just right away, because then you're going to not be as deliberate and get as much information as you could. But you want to get it out quick, all right? So you give your platoon time to start working things, start that initial movement, and get prepared for the operation. Okay? Do not forget this. If you forget this, your mission will be unsuccessful, almost guaranteed. All right? Okay. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're able to do effective warning orders again, according to the Ranger Handbook. Hey, I'm Captain Justin DeLeon, and Rangers lead the way.